Hey, beautiful people. I do not normally do an introduction on my videos, but being in the limbic system, I do things based on how I feel. And for whatever reason today, I felt like doing an intro. So here I am. Welcome to the Fixing My Art Up Life at 48 podcast show. My guest today is Spencer Jones. I know absolutely nothing about him. I haven't read anything about him. I've not researched him. He is here to coach me through the limbic system and through lack of motivation, lack of desire to do things, lack of desire to take action, depression, all that really good stuff. I wanted to say that you might hear guinea fowls outside that make a really funny sound. There's a fly fuzzing around in here, so you might have a fly coming through past my face. And also my sound might be a little bit dodgy for some reason. My microphone keeps jumping off and I don't know why. So if it jumps off, it's going to my webcam and it is a different sound. So I'm sorry if you get a different frequency. And I also have a cat in here that decided she needed to be in the room with me. So yeah, it's all happening for me today. Anyway, let's get on with the show and see what happens from today's episode.
So, let me ask this question to you then. What is complex trauma for you? As in, the definition of it.
Okay, so I'm going to include this in the podcast. So based on your question now, we are now off and running. Complex trauma for me that's such a loaded question. I could probably take a full hour just to answer that question. But in the smallest trauma amount possible, it is the trauma from the childhood that has happened over and over and over again, very subtle amounts of trauma that over time, it creates this program that you kind of get stuck in and that you end up living out of the sympathetic nervous system, and your parasympathetic nervous system pretty much sits dormant unless it has to switch on. And you're constantly living in survival mode, and the feel-good hormones are pretty much switched off, and you're just living through either adrenaline or collapse until you get to a point like me where even the adrenaline is struggling. Like now it's just tiredness all the time because everything is burning out and my flame is going out and I'm watching it going out, going, shit, I need to do something to fix this problem.
It's exhausting, isn't it? I would imagine from how you described it, it's exhausting. It's what's the word I'm looking for? Frustrating. You almost feel like overwhelmed and hopeless at a point because you're like, I don't have the energy to even push harder. Like you've pushed harder, you've been in survival mode. It's that go, 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 go. Let's just forget all the pleasantries. Let's just survive, to the point now where you're going, I don't have energy to even do that. And that's what it feels like. Your flame is starting to come out, and it's like you're reaching burnout, really full on burnout with keeping that going and having those traumas continue. I mean, to not put it nicely, right? It's killing you. Like it is killing you slowly but surely, but it's taking away your energy, taking away your life, and that's sad and sad to see, hard to see, and also that much harder to feel and to be in there, be in that spot. So let me ask this question then as a follow-up. What have you done to pull yourself out of it, or to end that trauma, or to turn it around?
So that's where it kind of gets challenging because I did bucket loads of awareness work in my 30s. I did about 6 or 7 years of just meditating, connecting, clearing out all the past, going through massive amounts of forgiveness, understanding all my subpersonalities, understanding all the different aspects, understanding all the voices in my head, hearing all the voices in my head, connecting with my subconscious, understanding all the programs and the patterns and the addictions that are coming from it. So really being aware of being addicted to the hit of the adrenaline and being addicted to the victim and being addicted to the escape. So for me, it was massive amounts of awareness. But then after doing that for, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years, I realized that awareness doesn't do anything though. All it does is create massive amounts of guilt, because now you're watching yourself mess up your life when you know you're messing up your life, but you can't stop it. It is very much like watching a train wreck while you're actually in control. Even though there's a train line that you could stay on, but you're voluntarily doing this, and there's a wall right there. And
Right.
for me, I guess I just kind of, so my mum, I had a baby, and then 4 months later, my mum got diagnosed with terminal cancer. What I
Mm.
didn't know was that my mum was my foundation. So she was my safety, not, I wouldn't say safety net, because it wasn't safe, but she was my foundation. So
She was
when
like the
she,
rock in your life.
yeah, so when she got sick, the foundation started to crumble. And when she passed away, it's like the foundation just disappeared and I went into free fall. And I've been free falling. It's been 6 years since she passed away, and it's free falling for about 5. And then last year, I actually smacked into the ground and ended up in the mud. And then to finish off last year, my appendix exploded at the end of last year. And so I guess from a, what am I doing to answer your question? I'm just trying to not die. That's what I'm doing, because I have
A
an
good
eating
thing.
disorder as well. So
Right.
I am just trying to not die. That's what I have the capacity for right now.
Well, I really I appreciate the open, honest, and vulnerable answer to that question. And for everybody listening in, it takes a lot of courage. Right? It takes a lot of courage to say those things, and I hope they recognize it. I hope you recognize that and give yourself that love, that grace for being open and vulnerable, because it can be a scary place. So congratulations on that. I feel that that's huge. Um, I want to say, and I feel led to say that the light inside of me sees the light inside of you, and that you are amazing, you are worthy, you are enough just the way you are. And as hard as it is to see yourself driving that car into that brick wall, and as frustrating as it is, you have that capacity to change because you're still here. You've had a lot of hell in your life, a lot of crazy situations, or times that have tried to break you. And if you haven't noticed, it's your body is trying to give you all these warning signs, these little moments that aren't so little because we maybe catch the earlier on ones of like, whoa, it's time to slow down. It's time to find something, right? The appendix bursting, eating disorders, different things along those lines, which have all could be many different causes to it. But at least I think are ways of our body and our mind, our energy being telling us, hold up, let's look at something. Something's not in alignment, something's off. And I appreciate you saying that awareness leads to guilt and shame. And I am in agreement with you with that it can. But one of the foundational beliefs I have is awareness is always the first step. We need the awareness first, because if we don't have awareness, we don't know what to do or change or keep the same. We need to have that awareness. But what sucks, and what it sounded like in yours, from your situation, you've had the awareness and you're like, okay, I see myself crashing, I see myself making these choices, but you miss the second half of it, is awareness and action. They go hand in hand. You had the awareness part, which is awesome, but there was no action taken, or maybe the action that you were hoping to take was too big for you to take at that time. So then to have these smaller baby steps, for lack of a better word, to help you start course correcting. Okay, I'm heading towards that brick wall. Okay, well, let's start course correcting. So yeah, we might get close to that wall, we might graze it, right? But then we could start veering off. Those little 1% changes can make a difference. But that takes courage, and it's hard to do. And you've done a lot of hard work. You 6, 7, 8 years of hard work of having that awareness of getting beaten over the head with that guilt and shame. Like I was raised Catholic, and
Guilt and shame.
I know guilt and shame real good. I was raised with guilt and shame, not only from that background, but I love my parents. They did a lot for me, but they raised me with a lot of guilt and shame. That's how my mom tried to keep us in line, was by guilt tripping us all the time. I know that really well, and I've had to work on that a lot myself. So I get that. And then I love that you worked at loving yourself and forgiving yourself. And it seems like, and maybe I'm out of line, out of order with this, but if you're still beating yourself up and living in that, then there's still some more love and forgiveness that could be shared. I'm still
So
doing it
that
years later,
love and
right?
forgiveness wasn't towards me. That love
Okay.
and forgiveness, not even love, I won't even call it love, compassion and
Hmm.
forgiveness. So the
Okay.
compassion and forgiveness was aimed towards my mum and my dad and the
Beautiful.
people in my
Yes.
life that created the trauma, because obviously there's always blame there. So I had to work through that. So that compassion and forgiveness was aimed towards them, not me.
Gotcha.
Now, one
That's
of the
huge.
things you really tapped into that I wanted to mention was you said, like, I've got the awareness, but then you've got the action. Now, the thing that I've struggled with, which I struggle with the most, which is probably in most of my videos last year, is the action,
Hmm.
is being in survival mode. Also, with what I understand about complex trauma, is that you are in the limbic system, which is all based on how you feel. And your
Right.
cortex, which is your very practical, logical, rational thinking mind, doesn't really come online. You end
Oh,
up just staying in the limbic system. So now that I understand that, now I look back and go, no, I get why every decision that I make was based on how I felt. And I regret most of them because usually they were decisions that I made out of fear. They were decisions that I made to get out of a negative situation that then put me into another negative situation, because that was my pattern, that was my program. So what I don't know how to do is take action towards something that's positive, instead
hmm.
of taking action to get away from something negative or taking action to move towards something positive, that negative. Do you get what I
Uh,
mean?
yeah, I 100% understand, and I love that you know the science behind it, right? Because once you're in that survival mode, and you're only in the sympathetic nervous system, you're living in that survival mode. The other one might get turned on a little bit here or there, but it honestly doesn't shut down, but it's not getting fired up nearly as often, and that you're living in that limbic system, and it's not going to tap, especially once you get used to it. Your body's so used to running on that adrenaline, that high, that rush of constant go, 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 go. It's not that you're enjoying it. It's just the way your
Mhm.
body's now learned to survive. So, okay, now it's time to switch it over. And our bodies are incredible, incredible machines. Yeah, machines that can help. I was trying to think of a better word, but they're machines. They're just made of flesh and blood, and all that good stuff. But they're machines that are incredible healing and can adjust relatively quickly, quicker than we might think, although might not be overnight, to shift over. So the next question I have for you is, what have you done anything to shift over from that sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic, to calm yourself mentally, physically, emotionally?
Yes,
Great.
but I get challenged by it because I'm wrapped in this conundrum right now, because there's that part of me that's so addicted to it, it doesn't want to do the things
Of
that I
course.
need to do to shift it off. So because I don't want to do it, other things come up that are more important. And because my program is to focus on doing things based on how I feel, that's my habit and that's my addiction,
Mhm.
it's hard to sit. And so I did a video yesterday because I was so dysregulated yesterday, and I jumped on and I shared I'm so dysregulated. So this is me getting myself back into regulation. And I did a video where I just sat and closed my eyes and felt my hands on my legs, and then felt the palm, focused on the feeling of my hand on my leg, and then focused of the feeling of my leg on my hand, and then focused on the space in between my hand and my leg, to just calm everything down. And it works amazingly. But for me to stay in that space, I would have to be doing that every minute of every day. Because then, as soon as I get up and I walk out or I go to do something, it's like I regulate myself and then I just go straight back into dysregulation
Because
within minutes.
Oh yeah, if not seconds, I would imagine,
Yeah.
because that's what you've been living for the majority of your life.
And I
You've
think
been living
that's the
that.
frustration, is it's not sticking. And I guess that's what I kind of answering my own question in my brain, but there's a part of me that's kind of going, am I supposed to be doing this so many times a day that it means that I'm trying in the beginning, obviously this isn't forever, but doing
Right.
this more often than less often for the first couple of weeks to bring in that program?
What do you think the answer is?
Well, I think the answer is yes. I need to be spending more time regulating my system.
So if the answer is yes, and you're going to think you should, or I don't like the word should, you're going to spend more time doing those things to help regulate your system, like not overload it at first, but
Yeah.
get a condition for this new program. But yet every time you do it, you don't, it almost sounds like you don't feel safe doing it, that you feel like this isn't right. This fights all parts of me because this is killing the old me. Like it's killing the old version of you, that person's fighting for their life, right? That Kaylee's fighting for that survival mode when you're going, hold on. Like, no, we're gonna chill. We're gonna relax. We're gonna be mindful. We're gonna be in this present moment. And the old Kaylee's going, no, 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 we're gonna die. Nope, this
Yeah,
is
none
not
of
good.
that shit. We're
Not
not
do this,
playing that
right?
game. Let's just stay where we are.
And am I right with that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I think
So let me ask this.
that's a very unconscious running. Like my brain doesn't go to that level. It just goes, yeah,
No,
I
it's
don't
just
want to do that.
automatically there.
I don't want to
It's
do
thinking,
that.
right? It's thinking that fast because that's your defense mechanism from
Yeah,
dying, right? You're like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to die if I do that. You
yeah,
know, you're not actually going to die if you sat down and thought about it, but you never get that far to actually think about it because you're so used to the old programming of Kaylee's going, nope, let's not even address that because I don't want to die. I don't want to be not alive anymore. So let's not even go near that. So it's these defense mechanisms. So let me ask you this. Are you safe?
yes,
Are you okay?
yes.
Do you really believe that?
It depends on the moment.
Of course.
Right now, actually, right now there is an element of unsafety because I'm having a conversation with you. But if I
Okay.
was in the room on my own, I would be safe in that moment.
And I would love to have you feel safe and supported around me and all that, but I also get it because we just started talking and having this call, and so it takes some time to build that safety net. But for you to say, okay, when I'm in this space doing it myself, that I would feel safe, that I feel okay, that I feel able to be present and let down your guard.
Yeah.
So I think so. One thing I have done when I felt that way is to remind myself and almost create a mantra, something I would say a couple times to get into this state would be, I am safe. I am here. I am okay. Something along those lines, something that resonates, to just make that for you, that old Kaylee go like, nope, we're blocking you out with this love, with this, we're safe mantra, this energy, like, no, we're good here. It's going to be okay. And at first, when you first start, it's scary, it's new, it's different, and it could be overwhelming. Okay, quick story time. When I started meditating 6, 7 years ago, so I don't have ADHD. I'm not diagnosed with ADHD, but when I had my brain scan, they like, this is a classic ADHD style brain. I'm like, shocker, squirrel! Like, look at that shiny object over here. I get distracted easy. I'm high energy and all that stuff. Well, for meditating, I thought, okay, I could do this, right? I could be able to do like 2 or 3 minutes. That's short. I got like 30 seconds at
Mhm.
best, 30 seconds at best, right? And then I was really frustrated, but I'm like, all right, let's just keep going. Let's keep trying it. So then I'm like, 1 minute or under, let's find these meditations I can do for 1 minute or less. And for the first couple of days, almost a week, like 4 or 5 days, it was 30 seconds. And then it was 45, then it was a minute. Within 2 weeks, I was at 2 or 3 minutes. And then within a month, I was about 4 or 5 minutes. So I was able to grow my ability. And for me, meditation isn't just freeing my mind of all thoughts and anything. It's just something, just focusing my thoughts on a specific thing or following a like a storyline of different pictures or different ideas, and just bringing my focus and realizing, oh, okay, it's not just focus on this. Oh, I have awareness that, oh, this thought came in. I recognize it. I acknowledge it. Let's bring it back. Oh, I recognize that squirrel over there. Let's come over here. Oh, I see that, but we're coming back here. And that took time for me to build up, but I couldn't do 5 minutes right off the bat. I could only do 30 seconds. And for you, finding and tapping into this safe, this calming space where now you can start to turn on that parasympathetic nervous system. You can tap into it, but let's say it's for 30 seconds. You do that 3, 4 times a day. You're intentional about it. You set alarms on your phone when times when you know, hey, I'm not going to be in a rush. I'm okay. I'm going to set this time just for me. I'm going to do 30 seconds, or for example, right? 30 seconds. Then I'm going to do 45 seconds. Then a week later, I'm going to do a minute. So now you're building in these points in your day, these anchors in your day that are safe spaces, spaces where you know you will be connected. You might get thrown out of it and back into survival mode that minute after that. But you know you're starting to build these anchors throughout your day. So you can always come back to that anchor. You're going to find that anchor and come back. And then you could expand it. And what I've noticed for me when I started to really work on my mindfulness and come to the present moment, it wasn't that I was mindful all the time. It wasn't that life was all of a sudden calm and peaceful. No, life was still crazy. But over time, and I'm talking over like a period of starting at a month, probably at the shortest time, that life was crazy, but my mind was calmer. I was more present in the moment, not all the time, but I could come back to it faster, or I stayed in that place a little bit longer before I flipped out of it into that more survival mode, or let's just quick and get stuff done. And so it's just having those anchors throughout the day that then grew and then started infiltrating the rest of my day and my life, if that makes sense.
Mm.
So, what are some techniques you talked about? Feeling your legs, hands on your legs, right? You talked about feeling your palms, the spaces between your fingers. What are other things you can do that resonate with you to help you be mindful to bring you into this moment? Do you have any ideas
I
or
have
things
a
that you,
bucket load of tools. Tools is not my
right?
problem. I have so many tools I
That's
can use.
beautiful. That's awesome. A lot of people don't have tools or don't know what to do. So the fact that you do is great. What are some of your favorite ones?
So I frequently bring myself into safety. I have a mantra. I have a mantra that I use to bring myself into safety, which I needed to when I was having panic attacks because I really needed them to stop. And I became so aware that it was that lack of safety and lack of trust. So I brought
Mhm.
in the safety and the trust in myself.
Beautiful. Love it.
Do that. A big one for me, because similar to you, it's really hard for me to sit down and do a 20-minute meditation. So for me, I can stand and take one breath, and that one breath I can drop back in and calm everything down, and then keep moving. Even if I bounce straight back out into dysregulation, as long as I take that one breath, that will
Mhm.
just regulate my system for 30 seconds. I'm trying to think if there are any others. I created a tapping technique because I didn't like EFT. So I created a tapping technique, which works really, really well in shifting a lot of, if anything in the past, any past patterns come up, I do that. But I guess, so my problem isn't not having a toolkit. My problem is doing the toolkit,
Mhm.
actually
Using the tools.
using the tools that I have. And that's where my disconnect is I
Mhm.
don't know how to tap into that part. So there's a part that wants to do it, but then to actually do it, there's a very big disconnect between me wanting to do it and actually doing it. And I don't know how to get into that actually taking action.
You're not the only one who feels that way with those ideas. Like, I want to do this, and I know the actions I need to take to do it, but I don't, right? A classic one that probably many people struggle with is I want to lose weight. I know I
Yeah.
need to move my body to lose weight, but here I'm sitting on the couch, binge watching Netflix or eating chips or whatever it is, right? Same idea, same thing, different subject matter with it. So knowing that you have the tools and knowing that this is the disconnect, that this is like a crack in that foundation, as it were. Um, well, now we could try to repair that. Okay, I'm going to ask you this question and answer it as much or as little as you want to and as you feel safe to. Know that from me, there's zero judgment. There's zero judgment coming from me with anything you say, with whatever. This is a safe place for us
I
to
feel like
share.
this is a loaded question.
No, no, it's not loaded. But I invite you to be as raw and real as possible. And you already have it, which is absolutely amazing and incredible. Why do you want to be in this calmer state, into that parasympathetic nervous system? Now, we don't want to be in there all the time either, but why do you want to be in there more often? Why do you want to not have this candle going out?
So there are two questions in what you just asked me. One was, why do I want to be in the parasympathetic? And the answer to that question is because I think I should be. And then the
Okay.
other question was, why do you not want the candle to go out? And the answer to that one is because if it goes out, then I'm going to die.
Okay.
So they would be the
So,
two answers to the two
so
questions.
why? Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to do the work? Why do you want to bridge that gap and practice these techniques?
It's so hard because there's a part of me that goes, I don't actually really want to, but if I don't, then I can't function in life. I guess it's more, I want to do it because I don't like the way life is when I'm not doing it. It's
Mhm.
very hard
So,
to function. Like, we moved 4 weeks ago and everything is still a schmozzle. I still don't know where things are. Whereas, say 15 years ago when I moved, within 4 weeks, I would have had everything packed away and everything would have been sorted and I would have known where everything was and the house would have been like a normal house. You wouldn't have known. We just moved in. We just moved into this house. But also other things like I can't drive. So I cannot drive long distances.
mhm.
I cannot drive past 2 o'clock. I struggle to eat food. Like, I love food. I am a foodie. I love eating food, yet I can't eat food. It's a massive struggle for me. Um, so I guess it's kind of more the reason I want to do it is because I don't like the things that I'm doing now. They just don't work for me.
Awesome awareness, again, to recognize that those aren't working for you. So those things, if you flipped it around and we didn't focus on the negative side of it, well, I want this because I don't want that, right? That has a negative energy to it. And a lot of people do it, right? I don't want to be fat. That's why I'm going to work out. Okay, cool. That's a reason, right? That is a reason why. But it's more of a lower vibration. What if we turn that to a higher vibration? Why do you want we can use food example, you pick anyone, but like, why do you want to be able to eat food? Or any of the other ones you said, but pick the
Yeah.
opposite of why not.
And now I have to give myself permission to actually say something positive. Um,
You do know I am the Prince of Positivity, right? So that
mhm.
yeah.
um, my mind's just gone blank. It's like it just walked out and shut the door and said, "Yeah, we're
So
not helping you with this question."
no, no positives. We're just gonna
No,
focus on those negatives.
no
Nothing positive.
positive, but ask us
Well,
to focus on the negative, and we're right here with you.
well, right, that happens. Well, maybe I'm probably gonna speak out loud, but I'm gonna say like let's go with the food option, or do you want to pick another option?
No, let's
Whichever
go with
one.
food. I'm happy to do
Great
with food.
food. You want to eat food because you enjoy the taste of it and you want to look forward to tasting it. You look forward to the time with the people present. If there's people around you as you're eating and having that community, you enjoy that time to uh, have that peace and quiet with maybe if it's yourself just eating and savoring that moment, being present and getting all the flavors, all the taste. You appreciate and love the energy that it gives you, the fuel that it provides you and your body, not just the fullness, but the energy to go on in the life that it's offering you. And we can go down these different positive routes of why do you like to eat? And those are more surface level reasons of why that would be a positive. Then I would ask you why. Well, why do you enjoy the way it tastes? Why do you want to savor that? I really want to savor the taste because that makes me appreciate all the hard work that went into it. Well, why do you appreciate that? Well, man, because when I was younger and my mom cooked, it was always fast. But when my grandma cooked, it was always that care, that energy and love behind it, and I love getting that connection every time I ate. Whatever those answers are for you. It's an exercise called Seven Layers Deep. I did not create it. It's used in many different things. I learned it for a business exercise. But Seven Layers Deep, 7 layers why or deep is what you ask yourself why 7 times. Why do you want this thing? Whatever it is, right? This business, this, why do I want to lose weight? Why do I want to enjoy food? Now, for me, it can be positive, it can be negative at times, but I try to side on the more positive side. But the negatives are there too, and that's okay. And negatives as in, well, I don't like the way I'm feeling now. Right. Right. That's still a reason why. But from what it sounds like, and from the work I've done with myself and with our community, is that when there's that disconnect between I know these are the results I want, right? This is the destination I'm going. I have the I have the car to get there. I have the tools, the strategies, but I can't seem to get myself in that car and drive. I can't seem to get myself to take those actions. I know the actions, I just can't take them. A lot of the reasons why, reason for that is we don't necessarily know or have a strong enough reason why that all of the excuses that come up blow blow us off course and convince us not to do it. Right? We'll take exercising, for example. For me, well, man, that bed's super comfortable in the morning. I work out in the morning. I don't want to get out of bed. It's so nice and cozy. I have my dog by me, and it's so nice. And then again, I gotta brush my teeth, and I'm gonna get sore and sweaty. I gotta find clothes to wear. There's all these excuses that I could come up with. But then I could also go, well, why do I want to work out? I want to look good. I want to feel good in my body. Okay, well, why? Well, it's nice to feel good so I could chase my passions. I can do those big things. Well, why? Um, and I could answer that question. Go deep and deep and deep. And when I've done 7 layers deep with myself with this one, it was I saw my dad when we were younger playing catch, and he would get winded. And I could see him go up the flight of stairs and see him get winded just going up a flight of stairs because he was overweight. And I don't want that for me. I want to have the energy, the vitality. I see myself having the energy and vitality to be able to do those things, to play with my nephews and nieces, and to be there for my family, chase my passions without having that be a hindrance. And a lot of the times, well, for any storm that comes up, that root reason why, that really deep one that really hits on the emotional strings, that will get me out of bed to do anything. But I'll also use those more surface level reasons why. So I explain it like roots of a tree, and I know I'm doing a lot of talking, so I apologize.
No,
But
you're good.
think about roots of a tree, that a storm comes up, the thing that keeps a tree from falling over the most of the time are the roots. The bigger and stronger root system that tree's not going to fall over. The storm are the excuses, the reasons why you don't want to do the thing you want to do, right? You are that tree, or the action you're taking is that tree. So your reasons why, the first couple, 1, 2 reasons why that you come up with, those are your surface level roots. Those are great. And those will help. Sometimes that's enough. But then you ask yourself why again, you get a little deeper, a little deeper, a little deeper, a little deeper. And then you come to that root reason why. That one that really touches out your emotional strings, and you're like, whew, dang, okay. That's you can ask yourself why again, but you might be hard pressed to find an answer because that's the deepest root you have for that. Beautiful. Well, now you have all of these reasons why to help you when the excuses are piling up, when your mind's telling you not to, when your mind is yelling at you, you're not safe, you're not safe, you're not safe, I can't do this, I can't do this, but I'm going to do this because this is why. This is important. Okay, it's a first level root. Good, it solved it. It shut up that voice long enough and it got rid of that excuse. You could do it. Or maybe it's going to take the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh reason why or more to help to get you to take that action. But then you start taking that action. And energy negates energy. The more energy you put into it, the more often you do it, the more your body's going to take it on. Right? When you first start working out, you're like, this sucks. I'm sore the next day. I'm not enjoying this. The second day, you're still like, I don't really enjoy this too much, right? I don't have a runner's high. I'm not enjoying it. But by day 3, day 4, you start to feel a little more energized. You got like, okay, it's not crazy, but I have a little bit more energy, a little bit more life. I'm feeling it. By week 2, week 3, you're like, okay, because I have more energy in the day from burning and pushing myself in the morning, burning calories, doing whatever I'm doing in the morning for my workout or any time of day, whatever it is, you have more energy for you. Like, oh, okay. Because you're putting in that energy, you're getting more energy. So you putting in this work to find that calm, that peace, you're putting in that energy, that work there, that then is going to trickle into other parts of your day. And as I said, you know the tools, you have the tools. The strategies to implement them, maybe you don't have, of like, I'm going to select specific times in my day. Maybe it's around when the meal times, maybe it's time when I get home from work. Maybe it's, I just set my alarm and every 4 hours or whatever, I'm going to take that time for me and do it, whether it's one breath and do it one breath. Beautiful. But you do that one breath 4 times a day. Okay. All of a sudden by day 2, day 3, you're like, this feels good. Yeah, I'm going to take 2 breaths. Ooh, crazy. I'm going to take 2 breaths. See how that goes. Seems small to maybe the outside world, but to you, you're like, this is a huge freaking step. 2 breaths. All right. So you do that. And then you go, okay, I'm starting to know something. I'm just going to keep 2 breaths, but for one of them, I'm going to add a short meditation, or I'm going to say a mantra, and it's going to be 3 breaths just for that one. Right. And you start to build this up. And you can't always be in that parasympathetic state. Sometimes we need that. And it's not saying it's going to be flip of the switch. But the more you do it, and the more you have your reasons why to help you get you started with it and into it, then it's going to expand outward. And I would say help your life, but this could be all these things will help your life and make it more rich and more fulfilling in the way that you want it to be. But the same thing goes. If I wanted to be more stressed and wanted to be in survival mode, I would put myself in survival mode at different points throughout my day until it became a natural thing. Positive, negative, right? It's the law of attraction, life's algorithm, as I like to call it. Whatever you focus on, you get more of. So if I'm focused on negativity, I'm going to get more negativity, more drama, more frustration, more anger, more hate, whatever. I'm going to get more of that if I focus on it. Or if I focus on positives, I'm going to get more positives. I'm going to get more love, more joy, more light because I'm focused on it, right? You said earlier that your brain is right there for those negatives, right? It's like, boom, I'm here to back you up. I got the negatives, right? We're good. You've been feeding that negative energy a lot in your life for the last how many years? And there's been positives. There definitely has. But maybe you're not paying it as much energy as the negatives. I was that person for years, right? So I'm not like throwing stones at you. I've been that person. But then when I start to shift and go, all right, instead of just focusing on these negatives, I'm going to start focusing on these positives. I'm going to feed that energy. Well, then I start to see more of it, right? For me, it started off by tracking my gratitudes. What am I grateful for right here and now? Big, small, doesn't matter. Start to focus on that. And then by the end, I do a 5-day positivity challenge. But when I started doing that at the end of 5 days, for me, all of a sudden, I have like 10, 15, 20 things I'm grateful for just of that day alone, not including all the other ones I came up with beforehand, because I started expanding my awareness of the good things and putting the energy there. I want to be perfectly clear that I'm not talking toxic positivity where, yay, everything's sunshine, rainbows, unicorns, yay. Yeah. The nickname people gave me, and I mentioned earlier, is the Prince of Positivity. It's not about toxic positivity. Because guess what? There's crap in the world, there's negativity, there's suffering, there's a lot of that out there. It's not throwing a blind eye to it. It's not sweeping it under the rug. It's saying, hey, I see that hard stuff. I see that there's valleys that I'm going to go through hardships. Let me learn and grow through them. Let me have that awareness to take those lessons with me. But then offer myself love, offer myself forgiveness, and release that guilt and shame so I could take those lessons and move forward, looking for those positives, using those positives to help me get through that valley so that we can continue on that journey to that summit and the next summit and the next one.
And then I'm assuming, sorry, I've got a cat who's just wandering around in here. She had to
Oh,
be
that's
in here
perfect. My
today.
dog's underneath me. I think I've kicked him like 3 times already, and
She just has to be in here. And I'm guessing that, I guess the disconnect for me
Mhm.
is because, and this is also the contradiction which I tried to unravel yesterday in a video, is that because life from complex trauma, you're stuck in the limbic system, and everything about the limbic system is based on how you feel.
Mhm.
And you don't want to do things you don't want to do. So you only want to take actions that you actually want to take. And
Right.
I guess my struggle is when you get to this point, there must come a time where you actually don't have a choice. You have to take action that you initially do not want to take
Yeah, there's a
to
point of no
create that
return, right?
change.
You have
Yeah.
to create that change. There's a point when you're like, this is the last flicker of that flame. It's either going to go out or I can take action to rebuild that candle. And that's the choice only you and you only can make on that.
Yeah.
But there does come a point. Now, the hope and goal of what we're trying to do is to have people turn that around before it gets to that point, to help them rebuild that candle before it gets to that last flickering spot, to give yourself that self-love, that grace to do that. But if you don't, you're going to be at that point, right? I'll try making this a short story. So for me, before I was the Prince of Positivity, the nickname I had, which wasn't, I didn't give it myself, my wife gave me this nickname before we met actually, was Ego Man. I had this huge ego, like I was just constantly trying to show off and be the best person and thought I was, hot shit all the time. And in any case, I'm so surprised she went out on a date with me and we got married. But in any case, um, I kept trying to prove myself. I didn't realize this at the time, but I felt this void inside that I constantly needed to prove who I was and to show the world that I was worthy. This was the story, the belief system I had from my parents, who raised me with guilt and shame of needing to prove my worthiness to them. Whether they meant me to or not, that's how I took it. And that's how, like when you said with complex trauma, it's basically like you have this trauma, this reaction, and then it just got reinforced time and 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 time again over years. And that trauma could be a variety of things that happened to me in the sense of guilt and shame and needing to prove myself. It happened once at some point, probably between the years of 3 and 8, because that's when a lot of those belief systems are built into us. And then it just got reinforced throughout the years that I was still talking to my parents. So, long story short, I was ego man. I was having ego make decisions. Life tried to check me at points. Like I mentioned that your appendix burst. That could be a sign. I didn't pay attention to those signs of life, trying to like just check my ego. Like, hey, drop this. It's not good. Like this isn't helping. Nope, I'm good. I'll brush it off, and I'll show you. I got this. Right. I'm Spencer Jones. Like I'm good. Well, let's
I
go.
think
Right.
that's why my ego burst, because that's exactly what I was doing. She'll be right. It's fine. Don't worry about
Right.
it. Like I've broken my one toe probably about 20 times in the last 8 years because I keep kicking it and kicking it and kicking it and kicking it. And do you think I heard what was trying to be told? No.
No, we're just
No.
like, no, I don't hear any of this.
It's
I'm
fine.
the shit. We're just gonna shine. We're good, right? And that's what I did. And I did. I kept making decisions. I made decisions based on my ego, and also trying to fill that void I felt inside. I didn't know what it was, but I just kept trying to prove myself, filling that void. And it wasn't until I made some really stupid decisions in my life that then hurt me, that hurt my family, people I loved really closely, that almost ended my marriage, that I hit rock bottom. Life checked me, right? I built myself up on all this ego, writing checks and all that stuff. But then life cashed it and kicked out the pedestal from underneath me and said, "No, you're not king shit. You're this cold turd on a paper plate, right? Like
Mhm.
here you go." And I hit my rock bottom. And at that point, I was suicidal. I had two ways. I almost committed suicide. Didn't, obviously, but was extremely close to. I felt physically cold. I felt alone. I wasn't alone necessarily. I had my wife and two close friends by me, but I felt alone. I felt like I had nothing to do, and I didn't feel like I was worthy to be alive. I had all these labels attached to me. I felt like I was at the end of my rope, that my candle wasn't worth being here for. I might as well just end it. And that I had no energy left to go on. And the only thing, because I was already doing personal growth development at that time, working on myself, I never let it really get all that deep though, because the ego man, right? So it was only surface level stuff. But now I was at my rock bottom. And so now that all that personal development work could start taking root, like in the real depth and in my heart, and take hold, and then seeing a psychotherapist and working with him, and acknowledging some of the tools that I had, and adding new ones to it helped me pull those weeds from my backyard, the things that were draining me, realizing, oh, I had this need, desire to prove myself, to show the world that I was enough, that I was worthy, to now changing it to no, I am worthy, I am enough just the way I am, that let's step into this light, let's shine. And the only thing I could hold on to, I couldn't find any positives out of this whole situation. There was none, right? Especially at that point. Now I could look back and see the positives. But at that point, I was like, I don't know what the positives are, except for that whatever lessons there's going to be with this, because there has to be a freaking lesson. I hope I learn it, and then I can help someone else get through this, not get here or get through this faster and better than how I did. That was it. And that was like a sliver of something for me to hold on to as I was going through hell. And just that little ray of light helped give me those building blocks to continue building and growing, get out of it. So I hear what you're saying, that when you are in that fight or flight freeze stage and it's survival mode, first of all, you have to know that you're safe. You have to tell yourself, and not just tell yourself, but feel it in your heart that you are safe to start taking those steps. And maybe it's safe for 30 seconds, maybe it's safe for 5 minutes or a day, however long, hopefully for your life. But at that moment, it doesn't feel like that. So put yourself in that safe place and do those things, those activities, those tools in your tool belt to start building and pouring that love and light into you, and letting that slowly seep into the rest of your world. Whether you intentionally put them into the rest of your world or not, they'll start seeping. But then if we can start being intentional about it, that could be a huge help, right? Having a person you love and trust, who can support you, or an accountability partner, just to check in without judgment. Hey, how are you doing? Hey, tell me how it went today. Just send me a quick text message. How'd it go? Or whatever. Something like that could be huge. I have a men's group that I meet with weekly. I have friends in my life now who are my check-in buddies when I need it, and I'm there for them when we need it. And that's been a real game changer in my life.
That is really important, actually, having that connection, because obviously when I'm just checking the time to make sure I'm not going too far over for you, because I know it's late for you at the moment.
Hey, you're good. You're good. And yeah, I apologize for just talking on and on here, because I hope that what I'm sharing is can be helpful and applicable to you in your life. I really truly hope that it can be. Um, I have one. I have another question for you,
Mhm.
if I may ask.
Mm,
Are you sure?
yep, absolutely. Bring it on.
Do you love you?
No, that's an easy answer.
Okay, I get it. I did not love me for many, many years. For 30 plus years of my life, I did not love me. As a matter of fact, when I told you about the rock bottom, I realized I hated who I was
Mm.
because of those decisions I made, those regrets and guilt that I had. I hated me.
I don't
Right now,
hate me, but I don't.
but you don't love you.
me. I have a lot of compassion. The same as
That's
I have a
good.
lot of compassion. I don't love my mum or my dad, although they're both gone now, but I don't hate them either. I have a lot of compassion for who they are as who they were as people, and I have a lot of compassion for me,
Okay.
which drops a lot of that anger and drops a lot of
Yeah.
that hate sitting in compassion.
That's huge.
But I did just yesterday, actually, while I was doing a video about men and having relationships with men and understanding dysregulation with men and how far they throw me off, and how there's not a lot of safe relationships with men because my dad used to hit me, and you know, when you get beaten by your dad, all of a sudden just the masculine makes you feel really unsafe. But I
Right.
found this place yesterday and I hadn't really emotionally connected with it, of realizing that I had no value, that I really, just on the deepest level, right at my core, have this belief that I have no value. There's no value to my life. There's no value to my family. There's no value to my friends. And sitting in that space, like really feeling that no value and sitting there and going, wow, well, now I get why. Now I get why I don't want to take action. Now I get why I don't want to eat. Now I get why just life is so hard. Now I get why there's no drive or desire or motivation to change, because there's no value there. So it is kind of starting right at the bottom.
Because you feel there's no value there.
Yes.
So
And then having to decide, well, is that true? So my next question now that I'm looking at goes, well, is that actually true? Do I
good.
really have no value? And so that's where I'm kind of starting today from, is
That's huge.
questioning that, going, is that really true? Like, do I have zero value to anybody? Do I have value to my daughter? Like, do I have value to the chickens and the guinea fowl outside? Do I have value to the cats? Do I have value to our dogs?
Do you?
As
As
I'm
of right
talking
here and now.
as I'm talking about it, yes, I can see that I have value, because they would not survive if I did not feed them. But there's value in that.
There is value in that, right? You're keeping them alive, healthy, and there for you and for others.
Yeah.
You have value from doing this show, from all the people that listen to it, whether once or the regular listeners. They see it, they're impacted, you have value there. But even if you, and I've struggled with this for many years, but even if you did not do anything, you didn't have a show, you didn't have pets, you lived on the streets, do you have value?
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Yes. In my opinion, yes. Yes, you do, because you are a human being. You have this beautiful, gorgeous, energetic light inside of you that you're going through this human experience. You have value because you are here, because you are you. You have value. And I understand you don't always feel that way. I get it. I didn't always feel that way. But if you could see that value and know that, hey, maybe I don't always believe that's as much as what I'm saying it is, but if I get a portion of that, just like everything else, it will grow. And I invite you to take on this challenge, you specifically, and anyone else who wants to take it on, take it on. I was challenged by this in a men's retreat that I went to, and I couldn't do it the first time either. I invite you to look at yourself in the mirror, in the eyes, tell yourself, I love you. First time I did it, I couldn't do it. I just broke down crying. I couldn't do it. Offering yourself compassion, yes. Do that. That's huge, because that gets rid of that anger, a lot of the anger. It gets rid of some of that frustration towards you. But now don't just offer yourself compassion. Start offering yourself that love and forgiveness, that forgiveness that you offered your parents. Offer yourself forgiveness. Offer yourself love. Because yeah, those decisions you made before, now you know where they came from. You can offer compassion and understanding for it. You can offer love to that Kaylee of the past and say, hey, you did the best you could at the time, because that's all you could do at that time. And you know what? I love you for you. Thank you, because without you, I wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing. And when I started to really work at loving me for me, knowing that I'm human, knowing where all those things came from in the past, there's many that I could identify at the time, and I was learning and growing that, okay, I love me for me and offering myself that forgiveness. I could finally, a while later, look myself in the mirror and say, I love you. So I challenge you to do that and to work at offering yourself love and forgiveness. So you got the compassion, you got parts of it, but forgive yourself and offer yourself that love. Those two things. And I'm here to tell you that you are worthy of it. Whether you believe it or not, you are worthy of it and you have value. It's up to you to choose if you believe that or not. But I'm here to tell you that you do, in my opinion. You do. And the world is a better place because you are here in it.
And I guess thank you for saying all of that. And I guess that's kind of the thing, really, isn't it? Is that ultimately we come to this moment where we have to choose. We have to choose whether we have value or not, because there is no one in the external world, or nothing in the external world, that can really say or prove that you have value. It's something that I think some of us, not everybody in the world, my mum and dad certainly didn't have to go on this journey, and other people in my family certainly don't seem to have to go on this journey. But for some of us, we have to go on this journey where we have to go right down deep to that core point and go, do I or do I not have value? And make that decision for ourselves, and then bounce from that point. And it is, I think, the darkest point that I think I've ever been to. I'm not sure there is anything darker than realizing that you have absolutely no value on this earth, and then having to choose whether you do or not. Yeah, it's a big choice. It's a big choice.
I heard the saying once, everything is nothing and nothing is everything. Everything has meaning and meaning has nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That does our life have value? In my opinion, it does. Because you're here, you're this energy being sharing your energy in the world, and everything's energy. So what you put out in the world is changing the world, whether you recognize it or not. And also the world's what you make of it. So if you choose, I don't have value, well then that's how the world is going to perceive you. And then you live that life. My thought is maybe we just make this an experiment. If you want to just keep it surface level to a degree, make it an experiment. You live the life of feeling like you had no value. You recognize that. What is it like if you chose that, hey, let's have value. I have value. Let's see how this plays out.
I've done 48 years without value. Let's do 48 years with value and see what happens.
See which one you like more. That
Yeah,
choice
see
is
which
yours.
one
After
feels
48
better.
years, make a choice. Do I keep this? Do I change it? Right? So you're 96, or no, I can do that. Yeah, 96. Right? You can make that choice.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. I love that. I feel like that is such a good place to stop, because I've just gone, hang on a minute, I can now spend the next 48 years playing the game. What does it feel like for if I had value? What does that look like? What does
It's a
that look
choice
like?
that you have to make daily. It's a
Yes.
choice you're going to have to wake up, make daily multiple times a day. Your old Kaylee's going to fight it tooth and nail because
Yeah.
it goes against her programming. It goes against everything that she has been raised with and taught, and has constructed and been reinforced time and time and time again. So you have to know that that's going to happen and go, nope, I have my tools. I have the armory. I have the people and support system to say, hey, you know what? I have value. I can do it to the old Kaylee, and I have things and people in my life to help back me up with that, to make sure that I can hold that ground, because you know what? I do have value. So that's what we're going to try out with this experiment. And there's going to be good days. There's going to be bad days. It's a journey filled with highs and lows, but I could almost guarantee that, I am going to guarantee that if you go from you have value, you're going to have more good days than you've ever had before.
And I can feel that too. I've had shift. It's something that you said at some point across the point of this call, especially within the last 10 minutes, has just dropped in of it is a choice, and it's also understanding and being aware that the negative is going to come in, the darkness is going to come in, it's all going to come in, but I get to choose whether I play that game. I don't have to play that game. I think up until now, there's kind of been this element of, well, I just play this game because this is the game I know. This is the one I
Right.
know. This is the one I'm used to. This is the one I've done for the last 48 years. This is the habit. It's just simpler. It's just easier. And then in this conversation with you, it's come to this point, this crossroad where I think I kind of feel like I've been at a crossroad, but I've had a barrier there and I haven't been able to see past because my brain gets there before I get there and puts up a big barrier. So then I just get there and I go, oh, okay, well, I'm going this way. And then I go all the way around and I come back and I go, oh, okay, I'm going this way. And my
Hmm.
brain just changes the picture of the barrier. But I feel like in this conversation, there's a part of me that's kind of seen the barrier and gone, oh, hang on a minute. What if we move that out of the way? What if
Right.
we actually, because I think talking to you has helped me see that barrier that was put there at some point that just kept me going around in a circle. And I can feel it. I feel like I've moved the barrier and now I can see there's a choice. I don't think I could actually see that there was a choice before we had this conversation. But
How
now I
empowering
feel
is
like
that?
there's a
That you,
choice now.
yeah, that's empowering. It's invigorating. For me, it's empowering, invigorating, energizing, all those words to realize, hold on, I have a choice. I
Mm.
get to choose if I get to see that barrier or if I get to move it and see what's on the other side. I don't know what's on the other side, but you know what? I know what's on this loop. I've seen this loop for 48 years. I've seen this loop. I want to see what's on the other side of that. And I'm willing to take the risk to figure out what that is. Let's go take it.
I'm so thankful we had this conversation. I'm so thankful I put this out in the world and you were the second person I had a conversation with because this has just been amazing. It's so
Well,
simple, you know. You think 1 hour is just such a simple thing, but 1 hour, a 1 hour conversation of two people coming together and just being honest can move mountains.
it truly, truly can. And I'm grateful you put it out there as well, and that I saw it and responded, and that you had other people respond. And I invite all the listeners here to do two things. One, recognize you have a choice. Take the choice that is in best alignment with where you want to be in your life, right? Look at those positives, do that. The second call to action, as a word for the listeners, is to tell Kaylee she has value. Tell her, reach out to her and tell her how she has poured into your life, into your heart, and helped you in some way, shape, or form. Share that with her because that's going to help her continue to see that she has a choice and to not go back in that loop.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. The light in me sees the light in you. And I said it earlier, I'm going to say it again. You, this goes to Kaylee and everybody here listening, you are amazing. You are worthy. You are enough just the way you are. You don't have to do anything, change anything, or prove anything to anybody. You are amazing, worthy, and enough.
I don't know how that was. I have really, really enjoyed the conversation. Really enjoyed the conversation, and I'm challenged by the choice that I now have. I am challenged by the realization that I have a choice to make, that I get to choose whether I value myself, that I get to choose whether I don't value myself. And I said to Spencer after he got off at the end, I said, I just, I like, I really feel like he's opened up a door that just wasn't there. And I said, well, I'm not just blowing wind up your butt. I actually do really, truly, and I really do truly feel, like I said on the podcast, that I don't think there was I do not really think there was a choice. Like that, the wall that was up was so, um, it was so camouflaged. that I couldn't actually see it. And I really was going round and round in a circle. But every time I came to that spot, the camouflage, like the image would change. So I kept thinking I was making a different choice while I wasn't really making a different choice. And now I really feel as if that camouflage or that boundary or wall or whatever you want to call it has actually fallen, moved, come down. I'll just take my headphones off. Fallen, moved, come down, changed, evolved. I do not know what the word is, but as I was sitting there afterwards, and as I'm sitting here now, really feeling into it, I feel like that this is a choice now. That this is a choice for whether I want to feel good about myself or whether I want to take the actions to start to feel better. I understand that just by choosing I want to feel better, that may or may not mean that I instantly rainbows, berries, and unicorns shower my space and I all of a sudden feel fantastic. But what I understand is that I now have a choice. I have the option to choose to do things that will bring me into a better place. So I can choose to regulate my system. I can choose to take a minute to take a breath. I can choose to do, as I shared in the podcast, I created my own tapping technique to help me with some of this stuff. So I can choose to do that. I can choose to exercise. I can choose to cook recipes. Like these are things that I can choose now that were not there before. This is a good call for me. I really needed this call. I'm so glad I had this call. So please make sure you go and check Spencer out. You can go to the description. All of his links will be there. You can find out more about him. Go and check him out. If you want to support this channel, I would be greatly appreciative. There are all sorts of different options in the description to support the channel. Sharing, liking, subscribing, donating. There's a whole world of options down there if you want to help support this channel and support me while I keep going through this crazy. That would be amazing. I think that's it. So this week is going to be taking Spencer's tools and ideas and seeing what happens. Let's see what happens. Let's see if I do actually make choices, or let's see if I bump myself back and the boundary wall comes back up again. But let's see what happens this week. I'm going to be recording videos not every day, but I will record videos this week to let you know how I'm going through this. And then I have another coaching call booked for next week, which will be dealing with whatever came up this week with a completely different coach. So I am loving this. I'm loving all these different perspectives that I am experiencing. This has been fantastic. I hope it has been fantastic for you. Thank you so much for watching and listening and participating in my life. I am so thankful for you.